The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire rose from his crystalline seat. His 6 arms gestured dramatically, each limb adorned with ceremonial plasma conduits that hummed with barely contained energy. Honored delegates, his voice resonated through the translation matrix. We gather today to address the human problem. These primitives have somehow infiltrated our space lanes, yet they remain woefully unprepared for civilized warfare. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Thrakari delegation clicked their mandibles in approval, while the ethereal Voidborn flickered between dimensions, their approval manifesting as subtle gravitational waves. Observe, Kethvar continued, activating a holographic display. Human warriors carry crude projectile weapons, metal fragments propelled by chemical explosions. No energy shields, no plasma integration, no neural interface weaponry. They are as children playing with sticks. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in the human delegation's modest alcove, her weathered face betraying no emotion. At 62, she had seen more combat than most species experienced in their entire civilizations. Her fingers drummed silently against her thigh, a nervous habit from her days as a Marine before she became humanity's first interstellar military attaché. Furthermore, Kethvar's voice grew more animated. Intelligence reports suggest humans actually remove their weapons in certain combat scenarios. They call it hand-to-hand combat, fighting with their bare appendages like primitive beasts. The chamber erupted in what could generously be called laughter. The Zephyrian's plasma conduits flared bright blue, while the insectoid Thrakari produced a chittering sound that made several delegates cover their auditory sensors. Admiral Chen finally stood. Her simple gray uniform seemed almost quaint among the elaborate technological displays of the other species. Honored delegates, she began, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had earned every decoration on her chest the hard way. I understand your concerns about humanity's combat capabilities. Concerns? Ambassador Kethvar's translator struggled with what sounded like genuine amusement. Admiral Chen, with respect to your species' admirable persistence, concern is not the appropriate word. We're offering assistance, technological upgrades to bring your people up to galactic standards. That's very generous, Chen replied evenly. But perhaps a demonstration would be more illuminating than theoretical discussion. The chamber's atmosphere shifted. Several delegates exchanged what might have been worried glances, though it was difficult to tell with species that had no recognizable facial features. A demonstration? The voice belonged to War Prime Thax, the Thrakari's supreme military commander. His exoskeleton was scarred from countless battles, and neural interface ports along his skull glowed with tactical data streams. You would demonstrate primitive combat techniques against galactic standard warriors? I would demonstrate human combat techniques against any volunteer, Chen corrected. The silence stretched for long moments. Then War Prime Thax rose to his full 3-meter height, his forearms spreading wide. Each arm terminated in hardened bone spikes, while subcutaneous armor plating shifted beneath his chitinous skin. I accept, he announced, though I will not use lethal force against such limited opposition. The combat arena materialized around them, a standard Galactic Council sparring ground with energy barriers and medical sensors. War Prime Thax activated his personal shields and extended his bone spikes to their full length. Combat stimulants flooded his system as targeting algorithms painted probability matrices across his vision. Admiral Chen simply removed her jacket and rolled up her sleeves. Honored delegates, the arena's AI announced. Participants are ready. War Prime Thax is operating at 60% capacity to ensure non-lethal engagement. Admiral Chen has declined all weapon and enhancement options. Chen walked to the center of the arena, her movements loose and casual. Thax approached with the predatory grace of a born killer, his spikes gleaming under the combat lighting. Begin when ready, the AI declared. Thax struck immediately, a blur of bone and chitin designed to incapacitate quickly and cleanly. His forearms moved in perfect coordination, each spike aimed at a non-vital target. Admiral Chen wasn't there. She had moved, Not with enhanced reflexes or technological assistance, but with something the Galactic Council had never encountered. Decades of training in reading opponents, in understanding the microscopic tells that preceded every attack. Her right hand caught Thax's upper left arm at the wrist, redirecting the spike strike past her shoulder. Simultaneously, her left elbow drove into the joint where his upper and lower arm segments connected. The bone spike retracted involuntarily, as Thax's targeting system struggled to recalibrate, but Chen was already inside his guard. What followed was a masterclass in human combat efficiency. Every movement served multiple purposes, a block that became a strike, a dodge that positioned for a counterattack. She used Thax's own momentum against him, his greater size becoming a liability in close quarters. The War Prime's shields flickered and died as Chen's precise strikes found the power nodes with surgical accuracy. His bone spikes retracted as pressure points along his neural pathways sent cascading shutdown signals through his enhanced reflexes. In 93 seconds, War Prime Thax, veteran of 47 campaigns and bearer of the Crimson Claw of Valor, lay unconscious on the arena floor. Admiral Chen stood over him, breathing slightly harder but otherwise unmarked. She looked up at the gallery of delegates where complete silence had fallen. "Honorable delegates," she said quietly. "Humans don't fight despite lacking advanced technology. We fight effectively because we learned to do so without it. Every species here has evolved past the need for personal combat skills. Your technology does the fighting for you." She gestured to the fallen War Prime. "We never stopped learning how to hurt things with our bare hands. We never stopped studying the weaknesses inherent in every biological form. When you handed war over to your computers and enhancement systems, you forgot something important." Chen walked toward the arena exit, then paused. "No matter how advanced your technology becomes, there's still a biological entity inside that armor, and we know exactly where all the off switches are located." As the medical team attended to the slowly recovering War Prime Thax, the Galactic Council reconvened an emergency session. The topic of human primitive combat capabilities was quietly removed from the agenda. Ambassador Kethvar, his plasma conduits now a much more subdued blue, made a single notation in his diplomatic files. Recommend immediate revision of human threat assessment. Possible technological assistance to Zephyrian combat training programs. Admiral Chen returned to her alcove and put her jacket back on. She had a feeling humanity's integration into galactic society was going to proceed much more smoothly from now on.